When I got my 2014 Mustang GT, the exhaust drone was borderline unbearable as a daily driver, but after some trial and error, I found a system that completely changed how enjoyable this car is to drive. I'm going to explain my journey and everything I learned to eliminate exhaust drone, but still keep a good sound. I picked the car up recently and it had some exhaust work already done. It had stock headers and cats, and then from the cat's back, it just had a full 3-inch dual system all the way back, with a big old X-pipe and then small Borla mufflers on the rear. It sounded great, but after a few days of driving, I noticed a lot of drone. One thing I did learn is that drone is very subjective. Some people hear it more than others, and it bothers some people more than others, so it's kind of just something you have to experiment and learn for yourself. For me, it was pretty bad, especially with this car being a 6-speed manual. I'll put some interior sound clips of what the car sounded like with that 3-inch catback system. In this first clip, I want you to listen for an audio swelling kind of sound, and that's right when it hits 2,000 and when the drone in my ears is the worst. These next clips are some highway cruising, and you'll hear that same audio distortion, almost swelling sound when I'm right at 2,000. And then here's a cruise at 45 miles per hour in 5th gear. And then here's some interior revs, and in this video I want you to listen for right at 2,000 as the revs drop. You'll hear that swelling sound as it passes. And then some exterior clips just so you can get a feel for what the exhaust sounded like from the outside. I knew I had to fix this because for me it was nearly unbearable as a daily and a little bit raspy for my liking. So I did some research and thought my first course of action would be to try some vibrant, ultra quiet resonators, because the car did not have any resonators on it. A lot of people say these work great for killing the drone a little bit, so I decided to get them and throw them on to see what they would do. My expectation was that the exhaust drone would be far less annoying and it would tone up the volume a little bit, make it a little quieter. So I got them and had them put on as far back as possible, as close to the mufflers as possible, in the segment of straight pipe just after the X-pipe. Here's some interior clips of highway cruising with the resonators on, still with the 3-inch system like before. And I want you to listen for that same kind of audio distortion. Then here's some interior revs. And finally, some exterior revs. After installing these resonators, the change was actually very minimal. The exhaust was slightly quieter and the drone was slightly reduced, but overall didn't even come close to solving the problem. I figured out that resonators alone cannot fix drone or volume in a system when the system is already too aggressive, like the 3-inch system that was already on. Resonators are not magic. Was it stupid of me to put resonators on? Maybe, but you live and learn, so. After getting lots of opinions and doing a lot of research, I figured out that for me, the best course of action, with the primary goal of reducing drone and the secondary goal of reducing volume a little bit, my best option was probably to just get a full catback system redo, which kind of sucked, especially since I just put resonators on it, but it just seemed like the best option. Although a full system redo would be expensive, I really just didn't want to keep throwing money at small band-aid fixes that may or may not actually solve my problem. So I decided that it would just be better to bite the bullet and invest in a full catback system redo in confidence that it would fix my problem. So what I ended up doing was just a full system redo from the cat back with 2.5-inch diameter pipes instead of 3, a Magnaflow resonated X in the middle instead of an open X, and then in the back, Magnaflow mufflers that are much larger than the old boilers that were on, and some really cool looking quad tips. The reason I went with Magnaflow over other brands was because I heard that Magnaflow tends to make things a little quieter and less droney than some other brands, so I decided to just play it safe and stick with Magnaflow because my primary goal was reducing drone and I did not want this to be messed up. First, here's an acceleration out of a stop sign, and I want you to listen for that same audio distortion. I think you'll notice it'll be much more difficult to hear, and just overall the volume will be a little bit lower. Here's cruising at 75 and 85. Here are some interior revs. And then some exterior. This was the perfect solution to my problem. The videos really don't do it justice. This is exactly what I was looking for. This setup completely changed my daily driving experience. It made highway cruising much more comfortable. It made it quieter at in-town driving, and it made conversations at a normal volume with the passenger so much easier. And it just sounds much cleaner. It's quiet when I want it to be, but also loud when I want it to be, which is exactly what I was hoping for. And the best part for me is my ears no longer rumble at night and I don't get a headache after driving for more than 15 or 20 minutes. It's just the perfect middle ground for me. I learned that the only way to have no drone is to just stick with a factory system. All aftermarket systems will have some form of drone. It's just unavoidable. I also learned that pipe diameter matters a lot more than people think. A dual 3-inch system has way more exhaust flow than a naturally aspirated Gen 1 Coyote would ever need. And it's just gonna add more drone and rasp and just, in my opinion, unnecessary. More diameter equals more resonance, which just always equals more drone. Also, just for reference, on these 11 to 14 GTs, stock, they come with partially 2.25 inch piping and then partially 2.75 inch piping. A lot of people like their Mustangs to be extremely loud, which is totally cool, but if you're worried at all about drone, volume and drone just correlate. Hopefully this video helps anyone that needs it. I personally couldn't really find much on this exact car for drone specifically on YouTube when I looked, so I thought I'd make a video to help anyone who's having the same problem. If you have any questions at all, feel free to leave a comment, and thanks for watching.